backtrack a little bit. Feel bad because I don't want to have like a 15-second stream and then have to mess it all because I don't know how to like combine videos. So I'm just gonna back it up just a little bit. I don't know a way to get back up to the top, but I will try and show it here. This is where we come in from the life plot. And you end up on a little waterfall, and you can see a great shot of volcano here. See if I can get a little higher view here. There we go. That's a good shot. So this is the Wrath of Fire bit for the Journey of the Elements, Entity NA. I'm going to have to go through all of this stuff in the beginning. So sorry to those that are having to hear this again this morning. Hopefully my sound doesn't go out again. But basically this is the second half or the last bits of the Journey of the Elements community plot. We visited the earth, water, and life elements yesterday, and we're going to finish up with the fire and air today. Well, all the talking I did earlier is like gone now. Anyway, thank you guys for joining. Hopefully it doesn't mess up again. But we're just going to finish up. You come down from the waterfall, and the very first clue to about the route you need to take is the footprint here. Again, these are the upside down barnacle weeds. I call it the chocolate decor because it looks like chocolate to me. A lot of us use them for candies and such. Some use them for like stepping stones in gardens and other things. They're great for dirt if you're wanting to make some kind of a garden deal. Those work well, partly because they're flat. For if you're using the sandbags, for instance, those are better for if you're doing like dirt-covered hills or mounds of dirt because they're kind of lumpier. But these are great for just flat surface dirt. The black stuff, the stones, and the bits of the volcano, as far as I can tell, that's all recolored Arctera formations and or bits of glacier pieces and stuff like that, but I think it's all Arctera specific decor that you can grab. And obviously the lava is recolored waterfalls. The fire bits, I suspect, are either burning tracks or just fire, like small campfires or falcon fire pits, that kind of thing. I think the smoke here is mostly from the waterfalls, but since it's so big, I suspect there's also maybe some added clouds, white clouds, that you can get from the smoke decor pack as well. Let's see, is there anything else I talked about before it went wonky on us? I'm just going to follow the footprints. That was the goal there. Again, Ani told us that each plot has its own siphon where somebody is siphoning off the specific element that each plot provides. So this is the fire one with the reddish colored siphon here, and each plot also has a shrine, so whoever's siphoning off, they leave a little offering to that element as well. Haven't found it yet, but we'll come upon it. Again, fantastic work on the dinos. From what we've seen so far, they're mostly made up of the Draken themed building blocks that would be like tubes, domes, curved walls, that kind of thing. The horns are bananas. The shield here is a bull. The beak bits here for the mouth, those are spoons. And the tongue is a recolored mop. The mop of the head of the mop. There we go. The eyes are fireworks. I think it's the red firework. I think it's the one with the white body part and the red tip, and then the blue one for the pupil. For the nails on this particular dino is rockets. And let's see, I think it's another rocket on the end of the tail. You see, well, and I can't jump worth a flip. It's pretty big, quite a few pieces, but you know, if you're going to go all out, this is definitely a creature to have. Perfect for this particular setting. Again, a reminder, none of these particular plots have what I'd call interiors. There's no bunker houses, no um, prefab homes being utilized. Again, this is one of the community honorable mention winners from Carbine's community showdown competition that they hosted last year. And due to time constraints, the builders of this particular community decided that they would forego the interior builds and just focus on the exterior, which you can see it paid off really well because clearly it's a fantastic job of setting up the scenery for each specific element. Following the footsteps, we came upon the tar pits. Again, I believe it's sewage pipes that is creating this. I suspect they might have recolored it because I think the sewage is more brown than this blackish color, so recoloring helps with that. Following the footsteps brought us to the T-Rex. Let's see if I can get back on his head again. The blood drops, those are the strain. All right, thanks for dropping by, Siskwe. Have a good day at work. These are the eye splotches. They've just flipped it over so you don't see the eyeball that, you know, moves around, and recolored it a little bit. I think it's usually purple. See if I can get up here again. No. There we go. Let's see. Can I make it from here? Oof, almost fell off. But you can see he's got a NPC fella in his mouth. That's what's causing the blood drops down below. Again, for him, it's mostly Draken style decor. Rockets and stuff for the eyes, I believe. The teeth, they're actually using some of the jaw bones from the Arctera bone decor. There's like a variety of different pieces of skeletons. There's like ribs and claws and jaws and skulls and everything, and they're using the jaw one with the teeth. The tongue again is the mop head, and then for the little tendons or whatever for his jaw is just exile walls, I believe. Bananas for all of his claws as well, and then a rocket for the tail tip. For the mighty T-Rex. Again, we were just getting ready to get into here when my sound went off, so hopefully it doesn't prove to be a bad place to stand. The stalactites and stalagmites, those are just glacier pieces that have been recolored. The little spotlight here, they've added some bits to it for the lever switch. Again, if you can use the interactables via Katya's Builder Toolkit, aka KBT, You could actually set it up so that when you're on the plot with fellow builders or fellow visitors, they can flip the switch and it'll actually turn the light off and on. The stand for it is just sparking wires. And of course, folks have found fun ways of dressing up their NPCs a little beyond the outfits that they can put on them. So this one has a backpack attached and he's carrying a lantern. But probably the most fun part is the cave drawings, using domes, and then the line work, rather than 2x4s, which a lot of people would probably try to use, is the edges of the Draken themed walls. It's the same one that I like to use for like flower beds, for like trays and stuff, because it has that marbly texture to it, the brown and green. Kind of looks like a dirt to me. So here we have a little cave drawing that's been spotlighted. If you go further in, you can see their little camp and then some additional spotlighted drawings of some cavemen attacking the T-Rex. It's a cute little idea to throw up and put together. Again, the smoke, I suspect, is from the smoke decor pack. Continue following the footsteps or the footprints, and we come upon a little, just mommy baby version of the Triceratops. And then a steaming pile of Triceratops poo. It's probably one of the toxic barrels, which is fitting, I guess, set under so that you just see the stream of smoke. But there's also the bubbling cauldron, and the teacup also gives off a little bit of smoke. But the pile itself is just the same things that they're using for the footprints. The upside down barnacleweed, they're using that. They just tiered it up so that it looks like a little heaping pile of poo. The things people want to include in their plot, I swear. Over here we have a little nest of eggs. I believe the eggs themselves, now you could get away with maybe using the spider eggs if you just kind of ignore the webbing, but I think these are actually files, again, that they've just tiered up several different ones, different sizes, to make it look more like an egg shape, and probably recolored them because the files are typically a blue color. The nest itself, again, is that little mossy bush, and if you flip it over, it's actually hollow in the center, so it looks like a little bowl. A little grassy bowl. Continuing with the footprints, brings us to, what's this one called? Bronchiosaur or something? Plant eating one. You can see he's munching on some greenery there. I'm going to see if I can find a way to get up so we can have a better look. Right into the middle of the tree there. Awesome. Again, most of him appears to be the Draken themed decor. And now I keep checking over to make sure my sound is still going. We might get a better look at him when we go across over this way, I think. There's kind of a shot. Okay, so looking for the paw prints. That brings us to the cavey part. Crystal cave. Again, I'm pretty confident that most of this like obsidian stone is Arctera formations. So here's the shrine. Again, they've got a little deal acting as like an incense stick, sparking wire with some smoke coming out of it. I have no idea what all this is. It looks like, well, it says life elemental, so I guess it's an NPC or something, and they just oversized him so you just see his belly or something. Burning track here, and then a lot of the Falcon or Pell stuff. Notice the arrow telling you which way to go. It's just waterfalls. It kind of gives it a little animation to kind of draw your attention to it extra. It's telling you to walk through fire. Now, this part here, you see this weird, strange texture. That's the bottom side of the small campfires. Hey, Kara, glad you could join. It's I think the first time I saw it being used was there was a spooky house that was built up for Shades Eve a few years back, and they were using it as part of the door, and then they had it like blocked over to kind of make it look like a haunted house. And the effect, the way it looks, was awesome. And it took me a while to figure out that that's what it was. But they're using it here to make it look like you're having to walk through the lava, fire, burny stuff. And like here, they've got I think it's supposed to be like a fireworm. This is it's like a clawed, I want to say Draken torch thing, and that's inset into I think it's a gaping maw, and they've just got multiples of those to set up to make it look like this long wormy thing, which is pretty weird. And then this part here, the animated gooey stuff, I think again is part of that sewage pipe goo that they just inset to make it look pretty realistic and gross. Of course, these are the red moon tentacles. I think those are another one that you can possibly get from the Palavra Port Daily, aside from the sewage pipes and the end pipes and all those kind of things. Continue walking through and it brings you to another arrow, and then this is the part where I'm probably going to flub up. I'm going to do my best, but there's no guarantee. Basically, the arrows are telling you to go up the goo of lava. Presumably underneath is actually the low grav pad fab kit. It's the one where it allows you to jump really, really high. A lot of folks like to use it for elevator setups to pretend that you're being moved via the elevator, or teleporter places like the spaceship or spaceport kind of thing that we visited not long ago. So I'm actually aiming for quite a ways up there. I'm gonna try it in one go. Last time I nearly killed my character off because I had kept having to bounce so much. But let's see if I can. Nope. Got to one part. Okay. This part, I'm not really sure what they used to make it. I can't for positive tell what items are, partly because I can't see it clearly. I don't know if it's just a bunch of pillars or something. I'm not really sure. But the arrows for this one is the red rockets. It's the same thing that they were using for the eyes for the dinosaurs. And then it's telling me to continue going up, so I'm gonna, and then it puts you on a little mat here. And basically, we're at the point where if you look, if I can get my camera to show it better, we're just above the volcano is where we're at. And this is where it's shooting the lava up to that rock formation that's arched over top of it. And you can see they've got more of those small campfires to make it look all sparkly and bits. They've got ice splotches and then waterfalls coming down. Just a really strange deal. Now we're kind of looking down at the volcano. And I believe the idea is that once you come out of the volcano, from coming up through the middle of it, you end up on the platform just across the end. Now, technically, if you mess it up or can't jump properly or you miss landing on this little platform, you can climb up the volcano directly. I did it before, so it's possible to get up here without going all through the cave and up the chute and everything. But it's just a fun way of kind of leading you around the plot. If you're wondering about the bright white sparks that's coming out, those are the lightning strikes from that particular decor, the lightning decor that you can get from the Z pre-invitational event that occurs now and then. That's also where you get the burning tracks. Again, this little platform, I'm pretty confident, is an Arcterra formation piece that's upside down, recolored, and then they threw on some colored crystal for that. Now I'm hoping I found everything on the ground wise. Again, we come in, see, I think it's on the opposite side. Yeah, this is where you enter from the life plot. You come in through the cave, come out at the waterfall, you go down, and then you just follow the tracks, the footprints, all the way around, and it leads you to all these little areas where the dinosaurs are. Which eventually brings you to this little part. Here's a little bit of a close-up of the dino up here, munching on his greenery. And then we're back into the in-between zones, what they call the communal zones of the community plot. Get your own specific decor allotment for that. I'm going to take one last look at the volcano here. Another good shot. Just amazing concept and being able to present it so nicely. Again, Arcterra formation for that archway, the splotches and such that we saw up close, the waterfalls. Really well done, the concept and everything, being able to execute it so nicely. And that brings us to our final plot for this community. This is the breath of air. Now we have two options to go either down to the lower side or the upper. We're going to go for the lower part first. Before we do that, I'm going to take one little overall look. You can see there's a sky build. With the loftite looking materials. Again, it's to do with air, so everything's kind of floaty, and those little loftite islands work really well for that concept. Down we go. Notice the animation of the water. Again, that's the waterfalls. They've just oversized a few of them or one of them, and that makes this really expansive amount of water. Makes it look nice and realistic. I don't know if it makes the sound of the waterfall more or louder. I'm not quite sure about that. But as we said before, each plot up till now has had its own siphon and its own shrine. And the idea or the concept behind this, as I believe Ani tried to explain to me, I hope I understood it correctly, was that the air plot or the community that lives here are actually siphoning off the elemental energies from the other areas. You have the fire energy coming in, the earth and the water and so forth, and they're using that to fuel and support their community here. And they're the ones that are leaving the offerings at the shrines on the other places and so on. So it's supposed to be showing the connection between all of the plots, that the others are supporting the community here. Again, I believe a lot of these brown stones that you see are the base of that. I want to say it's either Draken fence post or like Falcon fence posts. There's a fence post. There's actually lamps as well, like street lamp types, but they count towards your light decor, so you typically don't use them. But there's one that's like a fence post, and I think it's got some Draken spikes or something, spears or whatever sticking out of it. And the base of it is these nice brown stones, and if you flip it upside down, they make for good rocks for landscaping like this. Because while we do have a lot of stone decor, including snow-covered versions and such, uh, folks tend to get bored with using the same ones over and over. Granted, the color shifting has helped alleviate some of that sameness, but it's not exactly cheap to go and color shift a multitude of stones if you have a setup like this, so it's easier to find alternative ways, and using that bottom of that fence post for these particular brown stones works really well. So moving on past that, we come to this little, almost kind of like a Booty Bayish feel. It's, you know, little coastal dock kind of thing. Uh, Pillars here, decking pieces for most of the walkways. I'm just going to go to the end first here. For the ship, the little tugboat, I think it's the Protostar air humidifier or something along those lines. I'm not sure if this is the one that's upside down. There's another one that's kind of shaped a little funny, and folks like to use it as a boat kind of thing. What it is I think it's supposed to be like a hover kind of deal, and they just flip it and make it look like a little boat. Works really nice. Man, my camera just won't stay still. There are a few other kind of machinery pieces like this that folks will use. Some are animated like this, others aren't. They make good, they have the nice shapes and stuff that work well for it. Here, they've set up an orca fish or shark or critter. Snow clumps for the white bits. And I'm honestly not sure about the rest. I think it's Arctera formations again because it's so black. And it's got, you can see this like little weird shine to it. Again, that's kind of a clue as well. Oops, nice up close of my goofy looking character there. It's little details like this though that are super fun. You see that they go through the trouble of making those kind of deals. They even have the little fish crates here. It's just 2x4s, and they're not even like technically joined except at the end with the nets. It's the marauder netting, I think, net shelf. Like, what do they use them for? Like catching crabs or something at the bottom. Here we have a nice little bench. It's the dividers just kind of sunk down so you just see the top, and then this is the bottom of one of them. So it's like two pieces to make this little bench. Same way with the chairs. It looks like mm, 4 pieces here, I think, and then one, and then another one here, and then the chua. The chia is dividers for all of this. The table, the tree table, it's the one that has the little like reddish orange tabletop with the butterflies on it, and they've just capped it with a bowl to make it look a little different. Pretty straightforward there. Backtrack a little to this one. So we're at the fish market, so and some more of the little fish bits. Here's an aquarium with the lobsters. The lobsters are the firework dynamite, and then the white rockets, the ones that has the red tip on it, that's what's being used for the main body and the claws. And then the deeper red is from the firework dynamite. Again, the fireworks we often talk about, they're great little detail items for this kind of stuff. You get those through the Starfall event. Uh, you have to complete collecting some items to get an achievement, and once you unlock the achievement, you get access to all of the different fireworks, individual ones, the box ones, the empty crate, and so forth. So it's really advantageous if you haven't done that particular event, the next time it rolls around, make sure you do make an effort to unlock those. However, if you haven't unlocked it, or it's just happened and you just missed it and you're going to have to wait a whole year to go, if you can befriend somebody that's already unlocked them with their character and allow them to become a roommate of your plot, they can purchase those items, dump them in your crate, then unroommate them if you want, and then you can use those purchased rocket pieces. Um, the same can be said of daily login pieces. Say there's a login at 300 something days and you're only at 200, but you really want that item that's at the end of the road. If someone else has unlocked it, they can purchase it for you and allow you to use it ahead of schedule. Yeah, awesome little lobsters there. Here we have some octopus bits. It's just the bottoms of the nautical chairs. Here, I think these are supposed to be like clams. It's just bowls sandwiched together. Here we have some red fish or orange fish. It's the little orange bottles. And then the fins are, again, recolored Arctera pieces or glacier pieces. Because there's one particular glacier piece that's got it looks like a fan shape, and that's what they're using for this. And then the eyes, I suspect either bowls or the bottoms of tanks or some such for that. Here we have some crabs. It's, I think these bits come from, I'm really not sure. I suspect an Ichthian piece because they have some crabby looking items already. But this is the bowl, and then this part here, honestly, I'm not sure what that is. I think it's the feet of the metal table, but I'm not positive on that. Then we have another type of fish. This one's like the tail here. That's a couple of files just off shifted a little bit. And then the same fins that they were using for the other fish, they left them natural color, so they're the icy blue. And then again, some other file parts, I think, for the, because there's one that's kind of like a greenish blue bottle. For the eels, I think that's what these are supposed to be. Again, it's those bronze looking red moon tentacles, and they've just recolored them a little bit. For the eyes, I think it's files, but I'm not positive on that. It could probably be bowls or domes or any kind of some such. And then the last little fishies, kind of like floundery looking ones. Um, Honestly, I'm not positive what all those bits are. It kind of looks like recolored sunfish plushies, but I'm not sure. Because those are pretty like prehistoric looking with the teeth and stuff. So I'm going to say it's maybe that. But great ideas for those that like to do custom foods and are looking for, you know, I've tried some fish in the past and nothing as colorful and detailed as these. And of course, for aquarium scenes, uh, some of the fish, like the ones that we saw in the life section where they had the med kits being used as the little fish, those were great for an aquarium setting. These obviously, since they're hiding some of the items being used, some parts of them, they have to be set upon something, a plate or a platter or a little mound of snow like this uh, to make them look proper. But um, it's always great to come up with these little ideas. It inspires others to make their own versions. Oh, I've got some of the fish grilling over here. So again, you have this ability to kind of cover up. You can see the file sticking out the bottom here. If you can ignore that, which I obviously didn't, it works really well. So like these could work on a table setting if you have a table that's thick enough to hide the bits that are poking through and not have someone like me visit it and go, hey, look, it's sticking out. Nice little campfire with, again, here's a great example of a fish that can be a standalone in a, say in an aquarium, or as this one, it's on a little spit roast. Again, it's just files and then those little Arctera glacier bits stuck on there for the fins. Like 3 files there, just kind of off angled a little bit. And then 2 files here for the head. And then looks like the bottle tops of probably the either orange bottles or something for the eyes. For the little spit roast, it's pillars. And then this, I think, is the bottom of one of the banner things that has a stick on it. Again, the chairs are just using the dividers, the little shell slash tree table again. The bed is dividers as well with sleeping bags and I think sandbags here. All right, thank you, TW. I appreciate it. Even added some water or some such in the little bowl here. Probably the bottom of a glass or something. Doors here again, dividers. This, I think, is a combination of, it looks like the feeding trough, the very edge of it. This here, I'm not sure about. But this is like, it's not the end pipe, but it's like the fluted pipe that you can get from the Palaver Point Daily. And then this, I think, is part of the Draken fireplace, maybe. Like there's one that's got like the, the stack or whatever you want to call it. And then again, another bed. This one looks like it's made out of the bottom of a dresser or something. Looks like the feet here. And then this part looks like the leaf window. And then with just some recolored sleeping bags and sandbags, I think. I like the little bits here, the Merg dynamite on top of the lantern inset into the pillar. It's a nice touch. There's another shot of the little floaty island out there. Come on, go up. I guess this would be the air shrine here. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. I guess the exit. I don't want to go there just yet. But it's basically just some 2x4s and then the, I think it's called the holograph projectors, the really long one. Some of it recolored to a little bit of green. And then here is the curved walls. And again, we told you about the how if you have two overlapping and then slightly shift one of them, it has this weird way of making stripes. The domes work the same way, which is what's being used up here, but I'm talking about the way the lining goes. And then the base here is one of those holograph screens inset inside some hollow domes. And the way you get this thickness, which a lot of people like to do for like countertops and stuff, or like with the curved walls and such, it's just put multiples in and you just slightly size it up or down to get this kind of consistency so it's a little thick. Yeah, some of them have a little gappy going on, but if you size it good enough, it looks nice. I use it for like a framework for some of my paintings and such. So we'll find out what's there later. We're gonna go back and investigate the air place first. Backtracking, backtracking. Awesome. Like I'm trying to jump and it's not doing anything. I have no skills whatsoever. Ever noticed that uh, there's actually dust kicking up when you're running along these rope bridges? Guess they're pretty filthy. Okay, so off to the little island here. But just look at the landscaping. Again, I'm horrible at that, so I love to admire how folks manage to put it in and make it look natural. You know, like just little placements of trees and such. There's another one of those boats trolleying for fish, I guess, with its net. Here's a lovely little island, air island, or whatever you want to call it. Um, like the base of it is stone, but then they have it trimmed with hover part pieces. That's where you're getting this nice, lovely pathways. And then it's got upside down snowy hills for the greenery. So the groundwork is actually this nice lush green. You just don't see it because they covered it with stone and water down below. But up here, it's reflecting with that upside down snowy hill. So it looks like grass. Fantastic way of getting raised elevations. You can also use the Protostar Insta-Hills. It behaves the same way. It mirrors whatever land or ground uh, remodel that you have going on. But obviously the Protostar Insta-Hills, they're curvy. They're not flat. You can also get the same effect with the upside down umbrella tree. Getting a little warm. But it has, you have to contend with the roots and the top of the tree when you turn it upside down. So with the Snowy Hill, I think it's 50 silver, straight from the housing vendor, super cheap, and it works fantastic for setups like this. So let's go to the first little house on the hill here, and that is the bar. The kegs are feeding troughs, just end to end, to make the wooden barrels. We've seen some people use the actual vintage beer mugs and just hide the handles. That works too. We do actually have some barrel decor, but it's like half metal, half wood. Some will tuck it in so you just see the wood half. If they're going for strictly wood barrel type of look. These in particular, they have a little joiner because the top edge of the barrel is the feeding trough is a little rough and gappy, and they fix that by throwing in a what looks to be like a red moon vent to sandwich them together to act as the divider. The taps, of course, is the top of, I think it's the propane tank, using as it as the spout. And of course, the countertop is very simple, just 3 pieces of 2x4s. For the railing, it's this piece just sunk down so you just see the part of it. This is actually 2 dividers stuck together to make the tall doors. And then drake and cauldrons for the handles. So this is the same item as this, it's just used differently to make it look like a little short fence around the edges. Got some garden works going on here. Again, these reflective, I don't know how else to describe it, decor, like the upside down snowy hill and the Protostar Insta-Hills, they will match whatever the ground looks like directly below them. So that includes any patchy dirt markings that the bits, the ground has. And I suspect this is where the bunker house would normally be located, straight below. It always has this weird little dark dirt patch showing up, and they've just used it as for their cabbage section of the garden. Here we have the little shed. It's using some tanks for water and another one for, I guess, Miracle Grow or something. The little brackets here, this is the bottoms of the exile tables, the legs for that. Waterfall here for the little pond. Again, you could get away with using layered glass, or some of the tanks kind of look like water. You could have just used oversized water troughs and then kind of covered up the wooden part with the stones. You could use the old waterfalls, but you can clearly see how much better the animation is for the newer ones. Using miniaturized Ravenok to look like chickens. And then they built them a little hutch here. The graded flooring or wire, chicken wire stuff, that comes from Arctera. You get it really early on. I think you only have to be friendly with the vendor there, friendly reputation, to unlock that. The little nests are upside down hay piles. And then, of course, dividers for all of the hutch work itself. For the little grapevines here, it's just recolored fruit. These are, I think, the actual marauder berries. They come that color, but these are the hanging fruit, and they are typically kind of like a yucky brownish orange, and they've kind of recolored them to a more of a purple pink. And it's just using the small trellis that has those little gourds on it, and they've just covered them up with the berries or the grapes or whatever you want to call them. Again, here's a good view of all of the fish market and everything that we saw before. Yeah, they just cleared it up nicely. That's where we come in from the previous. This is the breath of air plot of the community journey of the elements. We're on the last section of it right now. This is a player built housing. So all custom, unique to their plot only. Let's see. So yeah, it is. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy showing these structures so much, because really, if you can imagine it, you can build it. It just takes a lot of time and patience to arrange things like you want them. Um, but they've incorporated so many features now that it makes it a lot easier. Like with the color shifting, there was a lot of objects that had maybe the right shape um, or texture, but the color was wrong, and so you were kind of limited on what particular items or building materials you used in certain things. But now with the color shifting, that's opened a lot of uh, versatility for a lot of items that you might normally not use, and then are able to because you can color shift it to the shade that you actually want. These benches here are actually from the exotic decor pack. Now you'll notice that I'm able to walk through some of it, like right straight through the back. It looks like either they have been fixed or this person has figured out how to make it appear as though it's fixed. I suspect it's the latter. You can probably insert like maybe layers of glass just inside the bench part to make it actually usable, or put another bench inside it. But honestly, I don't know. Maybe they have fixed it. If they have, awesome, because it used to not be usable uh, in that way. The little podium here is just an empty trophy cabinet, and it's just lowered down so you don't see the whole thing. Notice the stained glass windows. There was the one that we could craft, and it's been used out the wazoo because it was the only one we had access to, but they have since introduced the rest of them via a cash shop decor pack, so that you can get all of them. I think this one's been recolored, and then you can see for some of them they've added bits. Like for this one, they've added the winding rivers to add water, and then they've layered in stones here. So I suspect they're trying to represent the different elements that we were showcasing in, or had seen them showcase in the other um, plots. The flooring here, this nice coppery texture, that's from the copper or metal uh, marauder emblem. I think we're looking at the back of it, and the other side has the skull face on it. Let's see, what else we got here? Yeah, see, I think they've added some smoke to make the air here. And then this one has bits of fire coming out of it. So this is all to represent the different elements. Yeah, they've added vines. These are some of the foreign fencing to make it look for the life. The staircase, of course, is hover park pieces. Again, I don't know which piece that is. There's like over 90 different ones. But look at the flooring here. That's 2x4s, and they've just been fanned out perfectly for this shape of the floor here. You can do this by hand if you kind of are good with numbers and placement and everything. But if you use Katya's Builder Toolkit, or KBT for short, um, things like this and this awesome spiral staircase here become a cinch. There's some demos, I think I've done a few in the past myself, that can better explain all the steps required. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes like second nature. As you just spit it out and there it is. And of course, if you're wanting to do multiples of a similar thing, like if you have multiple chairs, you build one and then you just save the set and copy it, and you can place it again, multiples, just like that, rather than building each one from scratch. Again, beautiful view. See another boat in the distance. Very picturesque, lovely to look at. Okay, let's see. Let me go this way. Oops, just follow the path, I guess. There's more kind of sort of a living quarters. This is like a living room and a kitchen. So the couch is basically just the chair repeated over and over to make like a little sectional. Some actually go through the trouble of building up around it to make it look like it's wood or whatever. This is fine. This here, the table, again, I suspect it's another one of those emblems, same way with the floor here. And they've just raised this part up with the hover part pieces. The speakers are the graded floor panels. You can see how the floor looks from below. Kitchen, the cabinetry is 2x4s and staircase landings for the cabinet here. The handles are the handles of the vintage beer mugs. Of course, the kitchen sink, that's a come as is, but they've blocked it in with some staircase landings and 2x4s to kind of make it match the rest of the cabinetry. The kitchen sink, though, I believe comes from completing the Boxing Gym Fab Kit Challenge. I've never been able to do it myself. I'm horrible at that challenge. I have only mastered like knocking down the first 4 opponents. If you can get through the 4th one, you get a 50-50 chance of what kind of towel you can get. There's the one with the carrot on it, or I think it's called the striped towel. So if you're looking to stock up on towels, kitchen towels, that's definitely the way to go. Just knock out the 4th opponent, step away from the fab kit, get it to fail for the challenge, and then go back and redo it again and just repeat, rinse and repeat. But if you're aiming for the kitchen sink itself, the only way to do that is to actually beat the challenge in total, and I've never been able to do that. So the top part here are flat metal tables. The drawers are 2 shelves, and then the handles are the tops of bottles. The little, I don't know what you call them, the stove bits. I think these are the edges of either domes or cylinders, but the one that's lit up, that looks a little fiery, I think it's the newer Marauder emblem that you get from the Red Moon decor pack. That's it's got like some neon on it, and that's what they're using for this, I suspect anyway. For the little bubble animation, the only item I can think of that does that is the, oh, what's it called? The clunky fire extinguisher. I don't know if when you turn that upside down, the bubbles just keep going straight up anyway, and that's where that's coming from. That's my best guess. And of course, you've got the ergonomics keyboard there. Let's see, what else? Go up the stairs here. Bedroom. The bed is, well, this part is the keyhole window, I think. It's there's one, it's got like a, reminds me of like the Arabian Nights because it's got like that acorn shape on the top, and then they've just inset the pillows inside so you don't see it. And then this part is metal planks, and then I believe this is the folded shirt. And they just flipped it over so you don't see the collar of the shirt. For the closet cabinet here, it's 2x4s. And then for the panels, that's just the tribal mats. Again, the tribal mats, they come both unfolded, the flat, or the rolled version. And both can be purchased from the Far Trader Fab Kit. It does say it's limited. I think you can only like buy one of each when you visit. But if you leave and then come back a little later, it'll be restocked and you can just keep buying, just go back, buy another one, leave, go back, buy another one, that kind of stuff. The handles, of course, are the Drake and Cauldrons again. Yeah, it's a real fun use of the window there. I can't remember if it's keyhole window or something. There's like two different versions, I think. I've seen some use the basket part as the little bit as well. Here's the bathroom, our favorite, the little homemade toilet system here. Hover part pieces, one of the Technophage tanks. This is one of those quirky pipes that you can get from the Palafor Point Daily. I think this one's specifically called the vertical pipe, if I'm not mistaken. It's hooked up to a couple of hover part pieces, dome, I think, exile dome, and then topped with a Technophage door. The holder for the paper, I think, is just the hanging cable. Here's some of those towels I was talking about earlier, the striped ones. For the sink and mirror, again, I think it's one of those emblems, the Marauder emblems, the back of it, for that coppery texture. And then it's the bottom of the metal plate. I think that's the only one I can think of that's flat or semi-flat and shiny. For the water, they've actually used one of the newer waterfalls to stick in there, so you got a nice little water look to it. I think it's a file in the bottom of the dome that's there. The spout is from the garden hose, I believe. Here's that emblem again with the red moon vent, and then chua cups for the nozzle thingies. For the shower head, it's two of the Technophage tanks, one colored blue, one colored red. So when they twisted one, it looks like it's giving you either or of the water temperature. And then topped with a red moon vent, and then I think there's a tank that has this little weird crosshatch pattern. It kind of looks like a speaker or a microphone in. I forget what the tank is called. I think it's one that's got like a leaking bit on it as well. But I'm pretty sure that's what they're using there. Okay, I don't think to like go back out. Here's that same bed, just recolored a little differently, the green, or maybe I saw that a minute ago. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Same setup, just some of the details changed a little bit, like you actually have some smoke coming out of the tea set. The tea set comes from the spring decor pack. You get the whole shebang with the teacups and the saucers and the tea jug as well. Over here they've got the oven arrangement just a little bit different, where they got this is the exotic silver chalice. This one's got it upside down, which I prefer. It looks like a water pitcher to me more than it does a chalice, but if you flip it over, it becomes like a goblet of some sort. But this is the item that a lot of people will use in place of, this one opted to use the actual waterfall water for their expansive lake or whatever you want to call it. But some of the ones we visited in the past actually use this part here. The collision doesn't match directly with the bottom surface. It's a little bit inside it, like here. So the bigger you make this particular item, the deeper the water seems, and we've seen it utilized really nicely. It works well for smaller ponds and stuff, but the water will be more shallow just because of the size and the, the depth of the collision where it lands. But the bigger you make it, the deeper the water. It works really well. Now, it obviously disappears when you go underneath that little layer, your camera moves, but if you stay above, bird's eye view of the water, it still looks really good. It's a nice color and everything. Again, same setup, just recolored a little differently. Bathroom as well. Shower setup, toilet, another bedroom. I think that's it for this structure. Trying to give you a good overall view of where we've been. So you got the little apartments here. Got the beer house down here, the little churchy kind of thing down here, the garden below. Here we have the cafeteria. Again, fun details with this stuff. So here's those bubbles. I suspect that was what was being used for the bubbles for the boiling pot. I think if you just flip this upside down, the bubbles still go up rather than following the line of the decor itself. For the ice cubes, again, we can get ice cubes from Artera Decor. If you don't want to go with that, you could use some of the uh, trying to think, glacier pieces maybe for ice bits. Here we have a lovely little table chair set. It looks like it's using white picket fence posts to cover up the actual legs of the round table, the table that you get in like the starter kit when you first get your house. And then it's been trimmed in the rim of the orange window. And then the orange windows are also used for the back and seating of the chair with a little cylinder stuck on the bottom. They've got that repeated all around here. The plants that you see on the tables, those come from the spring decor pack as well. So let's take a look at the food setup here. No, it doesn't look like I can get inside. Can't jump high enough. But the stove is just the traditional stove, and then they've added in some bits to make it look a little bit more lively, like the toxic barrels for the cheese sauce or whatever it is. They recolored this one to be pink. The little pot here, I'm not sure what they're using for the pot. Looks really good though. Is like that's the frying pan, but the handle's different here, so I'm not positive on that. This is one of the pipes that they've got connected. Um, More waterfall water for the sink here. Then they've thrown in some dishes to make it look a little bit more realistic. The dry rack here is just 2x4s and a staircase landing. Uh, for the taco platter, that is one of the portraits And it looks like maybe the back side of the same portrait being used to cover up the inside there. All right, Poi, enjoy dinner. And thanks. I'll see you hopefully not next week, but the week after. Again, I'll tweet if the plans change, but that's my goal anyway. Have a great weekend. The salad they've got is just brambles with some shrooms stuck in it for a little color. We've got some hot dogs. It's either grain sacks or sandbags to make the buns, and then the red um, firework dynamite for the sausages or wieners or whatever you want to call them. For this little tray, the herb shelf that has all the little plants in it, it's just the back side. I like to use it too because it looks like it already has like ready-made handles. For this little gloopy dish, um, I guess it's supposed to be like a seafood chowder or something. There's like the clams and the octopus tentacle stuffs. That's just the bottoms of those chairs and then the bowls for the clams. And of course, presumably a toxic barrel, or it could be the bubbling cauldron. Cupcakes, chicken. The little cutting board here, that's actually the board with the cheese wedge on it. But if you flip it over and hide the cheese, it just looks like a bare little paddle kind of thing. The Barbie here, the little stove, that's from the summer decor pack, and then they've just added on the meats to make it look like they're getting ready to grill them. You can see the tops, those are the, I think it's called the um, edge piece of the hover part pieces. It's great for these little doohickeys. They join smoothly up. It just takes 4 pieces to make this little round. I've used them for tables uh, to help make the arches in like the crypts that I did one year or a spooky plot. There's a little hookah spot. Here's an example of, it's the same thing as being used for the toppers, the pointed toppers, and they just put the point down into the floor and makes a nice little table. Nice fun with the color shifting to make some different kinds of pillows. Oh, and then we come to the observatory. If I can find the door. So this here for the little planet scene, the frame is actually the frame of the reclining woman portrait, and then they've inset the space diorama set. That's where you get the sparkly stars. And then for the planets, this is an actual planet uh, that you can get. They've got 2 of them here. But for the smaller planets, like this one, I think that's the disco globe that we got for some kind of a celebration event. This is a file. This one's a file, but I think it's had a dome or something inserted to make it give it those stripes. And then the rings is actually a plate. And then, of course, the different meteors that we have, little space rocks for the ring of asteroids or whatever. These stones here, they come from Alpha Sanctum instance. Uh, if you complete the instance, you get one of these straight off as a reward, but you also get the rest of them unlocked in the housing vendor so that you can complete the set. Up here are all this little scientific bits. They got these nice little desks. It's travel posters, suitcases, and decking pieces for these little desks. The drawers are it's suitcases, and then set inside them are I believe it's the magnetized containers. I like how they got the little portrait here. It's the same thing that was being used for the trays down below for the food, but they actually have it showing, and then they just put a little 2x4 to make it look like it's a propped up photograph. Little simple thing like that can just change the item. It's, again, it's little details that really make the difference. And I love the color shifting when it comes to these. These are typically banana yellow chairs, which they were gosh awful looking, but it's nice that you can use them now a little bit more freely because you can shift the color to tone them down a bit. This contraption here, I'm not sure if it's like supposed to be the computer that stores all the information or what, but it's hanging cables for the wiring, flat metal tables for the case. You've got a air conditioner on top, and then most of this is uh, the magnetized containers. Now this part here with the red moving, honestly, I don't know what that is. I Nothing comes to mind as far as what that might be. It's cleverly incorporated to make it look like little uh, gear thingies wiggling, but I have absolutely no idea what item it actually is. Maybe you guys can hazard a guess. The telescope itself is basically a bunch of cylinder pieces attached to, it's one of the cannons, I think. And then they've added on some gears and such to kind of finish it off. This is a tank. And I don't know if I can get my camera to zoom out. No, it doesn't look like it. See the end of the telescope. Awesomely done, though. We've seen some telescopes in the past. I don't think there's too many that are like supposed to be this large. Usually we see the smaller ones, not only ones put out on a like a little tripod kind of setup, but also for like those that have pirate ships and stuff. They'll have those kind of little telescopes. Amazing little setup here. I mean, you don't even have to have this actually set up on a floating island like this. This could be just, straight up off of the ground um, someplace. But it's arranged nicely. It's interesting. They have a little bit of everything. So it's like a little community place. And I've already gotten lost on how I get down from here. Here we go. Now there was one bit. I didn't go inside. Where was that? Yeah, right here, where it has the arrow pointing. It's got a little lever switch. Of course, this is a functional door. So it's telling you you can go down in here. So let's see what's here. So we're inside the little island. So this is presumably those colored tubes coming up from the different, the siphoning from the energies from the other plots. It culminates here and it's feeling this. This is where the little collection comes for earth and fire and air and all that, the water. It's a cute little concept, and it's again, it's kind of like their way of trying to tell a little story that as you travel through their community, there's a reason why there's the siphons and the shrines at each one. Okay, can't forget to mention the little hot air balloon there. It's the heart collection table lamp. It's two of them stuck together. Looks like chains, and then the firework crate for the little basket, and then they've got a little lop sitting inside there. We've seen others kind of play around with that idea, like sometimes they'll use like the vent plushie to pretend like the vent is so chubby and full of air that it floats around. Some have used uh, pillows and such to try to make a little patchwork looking thing. This is probably the again, I hate to say simple, but it's economic or more, I can't think of the word, but it's fewer items than a lot of the ones I've seen in the past. And for those that are trying to, they're trying to squeeze every bit of functionality out of the limited decor that we have, that's a great version to go with because it's fewer pieces than a lot of the ones I've seen. Okay, I'm going to take a quick look down in the water just to make sure there's nothing down there that we're missing. Up on here. Could have just jumped straight down, but I don't know how far the surface goes, so I don't want to commit carrot side there. But here's those tanks again, representing the other elements being siphoned off. There's the little trolling boat with his net. I got one right up on the edge, the boundary of the plots, right up into the corner. And actually, they got it past the barrier, which I don't know how people are doing that. Here's another shot. Yeah, let's go a little outcropping here. Another good view of the little air island there. And I think that covers it except for the exit part. So let's go see what that exit was. And we'll be done, I think. Back up here, past the fish market. And let's see what this is about. I assume we'll probably like pass right through the screen when we go in. Oop, holy crud acres. Oop. And there we are. We're back where we started. That's pretty. It's an interesting way of doing the whole setup. Again, uh, in some parts you were free to go kind of where you wanted, but there was a definitive path they wanted you to follow. And sometimes it's kind of fun to stick with the path that they're choosing for you, because again, it's like them telling a story and making sure that you hit all of the the touristy sites to see on their plot and enjoy your path through there. So I appreciate the forethought and the planning it must have took to get that so straightforward that even I really didn't get lost too much. So yeah, thank you to the builders of this particular community. I hope you guys enjoyed touring it with me. Remember, we are continuing with the participants slash winners of the Community Showdown competition that Carbon hosted last year. We've already visited the winners of that competition, and now we're going through the honorable mentions. We did go through a few that even didn't get that, but they participated. So I still got quite a few listings on both NA side and entity side. And we'll continue on and get through them all eventually. Once that's done, then we'll kind of mix and match. We'll go for some individual plots, and then when I come across a nice finished community that's ready for viewing, I'll tour that as well. But we're not going to do it back to back like we're doing right now. So just a heads up on that. Again, I keep an ongoing list of plots and communities that I am intending to tour sometime down the road. But I'm always open to suggestions of places that you guys have run across and really feel impressed about it and think it deserves a peek. Keep in mind, if it's a place that I've already toured, unless it's changed dramatically from the last time we visited, I probably won't put it on the list. But if it's someplace I haven't seen or that we've not toured yet or has changed dramatically from the last time that we toured, obviously I will add it to the queue. I just can't guarantee when and when I'll get to it. It just depends. Sometimes I change around the queue that I have based on if we've visited a bunch of like space plots and suddenly someone says, hey, there's one that's got a movie theme or something, and I have a bunch of space plots still to go through, I'll go for the movie theme, even though the others have been waiting in the line for a while. I like to break it up a little bit on themes and stuff, so it's nothing personal. I'm not trying to, make people wait longer than they have to, but I do like to mix it up a little bit. So just the thought on my process there. So yeah, thanks for joining. And again, if you have missed past tours, we archive all of our videos, all of our streams. I think we're getting close to the 400 mark as far as houses toured. Probably with the communities, if I can count them as 5 individual plots, I'm pretty sure we've reached the 400 mark or so by now. But hours and hours, literally hours of video footage for you to go through if you haven't seen some of the past videos that we have done. They're all archived both on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can follow or subscribe either or both if you're up for it. And enjoy them at your leisure. They're a great thing to pass the time while maintenance is ongoing, especially if you have a lengthy one like we did yesterday for like an hour and a half. You can grab one of those. So yeah, definitely hope seeing these builds inspires you to bring out your own creativity. Even if you kind of utilize some ideas from someone else's plot, if you can give it your own little twist, or change some details and make it your own, I think that's a lot more rewarding than just cookie cuttering it all or sticking to the prefab stuff, strictly speaking. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Hope you have a great week or two. Again, I'm not streaming next week, just a reminder, but I'll see you the following week, hopefully. Until then, have a great time, happy building, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.